Welcome to the NYREJ Podcast. I'm your host, Rick Kaplan. I have to tell you, I'm excited about today's show. We'll be talking about a company that has been an icon in the New England region for many years. Once I mention the company name, you'll say, I know that company. That company is Jack Conway. Jack Conway, one of the top independently owned real estate brokerages in Massachusetts, based on the South Shore, was founded by Jack Conway in Hingham, Mass. In 1956. And has grown steadily, establishing a presence from the North Shore to Boston, Metro West, Cape Cod, and the South Coast. In 2008, Carol Bulman, Jack Conway's daughter, took over leadership of the company and has grown Conway Country to include Conway Country Insurance, Columbia Title, Conway Move Management, and reinstituted Conway Financial Services. I'd like to introduce my guest today, Carol Bulman, CEO and Chairman of the Board of Directors at Jack Conway, and Al Becker, President and COO of Jack Conway. Hello, Carol and Al. How are you this morning?
Hi, Rick. Great to be here today.
Hey, Rick. Thanks for having us.
Well, this is a great opportunity for me to talk about the Jack Conway company because I've known this company for many, many years. And I think a lot of people throughout New England have also known the company because it's been around so long and it has grown to be let's call it a monster in New England, a good monster. But let's talk a little bit about your backgrounds because you both have very interesting backgrounds. And Carol, being the daughter of Jack Conway, that this must have been an interesting road to get to where you are today. You've probably seen a lot of different things in the growth of this business, and also in yourself. How does that change over the years?
Rick, I came up through this business in sort of a little bit of a unique way because I first started working with my dad when I was in college. Well, actually, technically, I worked with my dad when I was 14 years old. I couldn't wait to get my working papers, so my mom drove me down to the local register to get my working papers, and I started working in his accounting department a couple of days after school. So I always liked to work, and I enjoyed that. It gave me freedom, and so that was my first introduction to the company. But as far as a full-time employee, with a real role, I started working with him in between college years. I went to Providence College and started between my junior and my senior year in college. But I started our mortgage company. My dad's mortgage company was called Northern Mortgage Company at the time. He started that company back in 1975. It was a full-service mortgage lender, and I fell in love with that business. And it was a great parallel business for me to kind of spread my wings and learn the business. And it was very much side by side with my dad. He loved the mortgage business, and it also gave me the opportunity to get to know the realtors on a little different level. My dad felt very strongly that the financial side was such a critical part of their transactions and that realtors needed to understand that. And he always taught me that. So I grew up through that side of the business and then moved over to the real estate side just about 13, 14 years ago. And I love it. It's just an incredible business.
So you also, it's interesting how you want to follow in your father's footsteps, sort of, because, you don't see that a lot. Occasionally you might have one child that does that, but most of the time kids try to branch off on their own. They don't want to follow what their parents were doing. And you must have seen something in what your father had done that really interested you.
My dad was a larger than life person, and I just adored my dad. And I spent a lot of time attending open houses when I was a little girl on the weekends. And he was building the business back then when I was young and my siblings were younger, so it was very much a part of our lives. And I don't know, I just always wanted to work with him. And I also felt very strongly about the family legacy. My dad really believed in the company as an independently owned company, and I just felt that very early on. And I really enjoyed it. There was a period of time that I went off on my own for a bit, and it was a really great experience for me. I learned a lot, and I returned to the company, like I said, 13 years ago, and with some experience that I don't think I would have gleaned if I had been with the company. So, even though oftentimes family businesses, parents will encourage kids to do something different in the very beginning of their careers. My dad didn't necessarily do that, but I did go off later in my career, and it helped. It sort of helped formulate the whole piece and understand business from a different perspective.
Well, Carol, this is what's even more flooring about this whole thing is that your husband and you have 4 children. All 4 children are in the industry, it's the business with you. How is that working out? Some families don't even like to talk to each other.
It can be a wild ride. I adore my kids. I've already talked to every single one of them. By this time of the day, they're very much part of our lives. My husband is extremely supportive and patient. He is a retired banker. Most recently he worked for Eastern Bank, and he was a middle market lender, and he retired a few years ago. And fortunately, after my dad passed away, he agreed to help me, our family, with the properties that my mother and my father own, and then our own properties. So he oversees our portfolio properties. He was the general contractor on the building that we just built. And, it was funny because we went out to dinner last night and we said, oh my gosh, it's the first time in a year and a half that we haven't been talking about subs and contractors and delayed this and delayed that. It was kind of nice, actually. But it's a big part of our family is this business. And, the kids are fabulous.
And we'll talk more about the new office that you just built and opened up after we talk to Al a little, find out a little bit about what Al is all about and what his background is. And Al, one of the things that I found very interesting when I was looking up some of the history of the company and your background is that what people don't know, Jack Conway was a sports writer for the Boston Herald before he started this industry. And Al, you are a sports writer, or were, I don't know, you still are a sports writer. That's interesting how the two of you connected like that.
Yeah, I think that was probably a great mutual passion that we both had was sports in general. So I was fortunate enough to, I did sports writing, like you said. I was in the TV radio business at first out of college, and I did. My goal was to, do broadcast sports and things like that. And I did it for a little while, and I realized that it's kind of a interesting business with personalities that I didn't really enjoy. So I moved into the newspaper business, came back home to the Boston area, worked in that for about a dozen or so years, and finished in a management position with what is now, I guess, it's called, what at one point was Gatehouse Media, community newspaper company that where I live in that area, I managed like a dozen papers or something like that. So I had some management experience. But when I saw an ad in the Boston Globe, actually, for what was Jack called a publicist, it said publicist. It had all of these descriptions underneath, and I thought, well, that's really cool. I went to the old Norwell building, met with the marketing director, and Jack came in. And then I met with Jack for 2 hours, and there was some obviously mutual interest in sports writing. He read my clips that I had because I was going to write PR for him. So I brought clips along. It was really interesting. And obviously I got the job. And so I started in that role. And what developed was an opportunity to spend a lot of time with someone who clearly knew what was going on in this business. So I want to say that I learned quite a bit from Jack about a lot of things. I learned about the real estate business to a degree. I mean, it takes years and years to accumulate the knowledge that, we need to do what we do here. And I get that from all of our agents and managers who just are just amazing, brain power here. But Jack taught me a lot about working with people, communicating, sales without understanding at the time it was really sales. And so that gave me an opportunity to really see what was going on. And Jack and I spent a lot of time together and went around the company. He introduced me to people. He asked me, or gave me ideas for stories, and I was able to write a lot of PR for the company. Things really kicked in though when, as Carol said, she was off from the company for a little while working in the mortgage industry, and she came back, was named CEO, and we started working together, and that kind of changed my whole perspective on my career and what I wanted to do. So as much as I learned from Jack, I really started to work with Carol to turn this company into the innovative in the present day that it is, and really grow it from where we were at that time. So the other thing about joining the company in 2007 in the fall was in the spring of 2008, like the industry went like that. And of course the newspaper industry did the same thing, but I thought, well, geez, did I cause this? It was epic, and it took years for us to get out of that, but it's a great opportunity for Carol and me to work together and really grow the company. So we're very proud of the fact that when Carol rejoined the company, I think it was 2009, I think, Carol, we had 500 agents doing 500 million in sales. And over the next 4 or 5 years, we grew that to, currently we're at 700 agents, but we did $1 billion in sales in 2012 for the first time or something like that. So within 4 to 5 years, we doubled sales. We grew the agent count. We right-sized a lot of things, and it was a really enjoyable experience doing it with Carol.
So you're saying you're the cause of why they grew so much, right?
No. No.
You were the cause of the recession, and because
exactly. No, I think that we had a company to work with that had great structure, great bones. As you said, it was a monster on the South Shore. And the recession hit a lot of businesses. A lot didn't recover. This was a transition into the second generation. So there were just so many things, so many moving parts, so many things against us, right? Like the recession was really driven by real estate. That's a rare thing in the economy. And then a second generation business, which you already mentioned, Rick, it's such a small percentage that is able to transition into that. And, it was kind of, obviously it was a lot of people, but it was kind of a mix of things that I think gave us some license, Carol, right, to be able to say, we got to make some changes, or else, because these odds aren't really in our favor.
Well, there's a lot of companies that do go through those downturns, and they just do not know how to adapt to that, and due to that, they usually fail. So when companies can pull together and adapt to any kind of issue that's going on at the time, like this whole pandemic thing, I mean, that was also something that you had to adapt to, even though the real estate industry has been booming, or more than booming, exploding, over that time, where you have to be able to work through those without it making a bad impact on the business or a bad impact on your company. And I think, you guys have proved that year over year, by still being around. And so I congratulate you on that. And you also have come up with some new innovative ways, and a new office, and some new things that you're coming out with that you want to announce today. So I'm going to give you the floor to make that announcement and let everyone know what exciting things are going on with the Jack Conway and company.
Okay, so I'll jump in, and Al, you jump in as if I'm missing anything. Being a past writer, Al has an excellent way with words. And so, we have a lot to tell. This is a great story, and we're really proud of what our team has been able to accomplish. Even going back to what Al was just talking about, it was definitely a team effort, and those were hard days, and we really had to shift. And Al and I were just getting to know each other, really just met and realized that our skill set were very complementary. And so we just jumped in, rolled up our sleeves and did it. And, I'm really grateful for the support that we've received by our agents, our partners, our buyers and sellers, having faith in us, believing in the tradition that my dad set many, many years ago, but also knowing that, my dad was always a really innovative man, and we are continuing and really doubling down on that commitment to innovation. And it's really exciting. So I want to say that first, it's just so many people that have been involved in this process, and, being here 13 years later after, moving into that role. And I was so grateful, but very scared too. There was just so many people that made it happen, including my dad, because fortunately my dad was still alive then, and he worked with us for several years. And then sadly he passed away, and we took it from there. So now we have some exciting announcements. 18 months ago, so June of 2020, my father's original headquarters, located at 183 Columbia Road in Hanover, burned to the ground. So this story starts with tragedy and challenge. And this was his original headquarters. He built it in the 1970s. I think it was 72. It was a 12,000 square foot building. And later he moved from that building and built a building in Norwell, which we just recently moved from, at 153 Washington Street on 53 in Norwell. So that was his new headquarters. That original building encompassed, in the very beginning years of Jack Conway, his Hanover sales department, his mortgage department, his insurance arm, marketing, accounting, relocation resources, every single thing under one umbrella. So it was very innovative at the time. It was one building. That's where I started working when I was 19 years old. And and also our license school. Many, many people on the South Shore and beyond have received their real estate license on the third floor of that building. So there's a lot of history. And interestingly, going through this process, so many people have approached me and said, Carol, it's so exciting to see that iconic building being reborn. And I never really quite grasped what that meant really to South Shore. And it's an incredible location right in the corner of 53 and 139. So very highly visible. And my dad called it the Conway Country Building. And, I always tease to our agents, proudly, that we're the only real estate company that has an actual country. And my grandfather, my mother's dad, Jimmy Carroll, who I'm named for, actually coined the phrase Conway Country, and it's stuck. We still use that today. So that morning, my husband received a call from Susan Conway, our property manager, that there was a fire in the Hanover building. It was 2:00 in the morning. We drove to Hanover. I was just expecting to see a small fire that had been quickly put out. Never in a million years imagined what we were going to see when we turned around the corner. The entire building was gone. It was completely burned to the ground. I thank all the firefighters from, I think there were 8 or 9 different towns that responded. The Hanover Fire Department was incredible. Just everybody was just so kind. Fortunately, it was the middle of the night. Nobody was hurt, thank God. It was also in the middle of COVID. So most people were working remotely. Some people weren't, and that was sad. Many of our tenants, we had 13 tenants in there. So many of our tenants lost a lot of things. So it was a tragic day. I called my mother first thing in the morning, make sure that she didn't see it on the news. She heard it from me. And so my husband, Mike, turned to me. Our insurance is with Conway Country Insurance, our partnership with Walter May Insurance. So we called Larry to make sure that everything's all set with the insurance. Never have had to make a call like that before. It was scary. It's just so foreign. And my husband turned to me, he said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to rebuild and I want to move our headquarters back here. We have something really special here at Jack Conway Company. And this is this concept that we offer one-stop shopping. A buyer or seller can get their mortgage through Conway Financial. They can get their closing services through Columbia Title. They can get their insurance through Conway Country Insurance. We have property management. We have moving services through Humboldt Moving. They can get relocation services, and they can get staging services through our staging company. So it's all under one roof. And it's interesting because our new partner in Columbia Title is Andy Bulman, which, by the way, is not a direct relation. That's a little bit of a coincidence, although there is a distant relation. He's a wonderful partner. When he talks about the one-stop shopping, he said, there's this cool thing that Conway does that nobody else is doing. And so what I love about it is it's not a new story, but it's a new story because it's unusual nowadays. So number one, we built the building. And we decided, we jumped in. We went to Scarlet Oak for dinner a couple nights later. I took a pencil and a piece of paper, not a napkin, but a piece of paper. My dad always wrote on napkins, and drew out my vision of this company, and that I wanted clients to come in the front door. I wanted it to be contemporary, but with a feel of home, some wood and furnishings that remind you of home. We sell homes. And I wanted to be accessible so people could visit all of our different ancillary services. But more than that, I wanted our agents and our staff to be working in a place that was reflective of what today's worker wants. We built a cafe on the first floor. There's free coffee and cappuccino whenever you want. There's different tables that people can plug in and work remotely. There's a copy center there, print and scanner for all of our agents to use. There's rooms that they can make presentations to builders or buyers and sellers. But one of the best parts is every single floor has an outside space. There's a deck on each floor where people can come in with a customer, still customers that are not comfortable meeting inside, but also just to get outside for lunch and get some fresh air. And, we've learned a lot through COVID, and COVID has really taught us that. And then the other thing is we have a state-of-the-art, technologically outfitted classroom. Nothing like it in real estate. And Al can tell you more details about that because he's much more tech savvy than I am. But it's just absolutely awesome. And we want to get people back in person, connecting and learning from each other and collaborating. So, our full Conway creative team is on the first floor, and they're available for our agents when they come in the door. Agent can pick up a check, they can get a class, they can meet with Jay Chase on our corporate counsel. So whatever they need, it's under one roof. So for all 28 of our offices. So that's one piece of news, but we have a couple other pieces too, but I want to stop there because there might be other things that you want to fill in with there, Rick.
Well, it looks like Al, he's been dying to say something about this whole thing as well. So he has his 2 cents he wants to add to what you just talked about.
Well, I think that, one of the things, just go back to, again, the beginning, and Jack and, all of our connections and everything, we're storytellers. That's really what we specialize in real estate, is sharing stories and making sure that people understand we can help them, and stories of how we help people. And this building reflects a great story because, Carol obviously went through the history of it. And then, I shared on LinkedIn and social media yesterday my thoughts on this, just because, you've got to get this out there. And I came up with the hashtag From the Ashes, because this building really was a pile of rubble about 18 months ago, or almost 2 years ago. And what is here now is unlike anything you're going to see in real estate. And Carol and I do work with a lot of different real estate companies across the country, and have had an opportunity to visit some special places where, they go over the top. LA, New York. Carol, remember going to New York City and seeing that office? I mean, it was 53 stories up, but this office it doesn't compare to what we have here now. It's just comfortable. It's cool. it's tech savvy. Just to touch on that a little bit, we've got video conferencing in a classroom where, we didn't need that 2 years ago. We realized we can have speakers from all over the world speak to us. We could speak to them. We had video, we had Zoom, but this is different. This is going to be a game changer for us for the size company we are. So we can host a lot of hybrid things, but also we can host a large gathering because there's a glass wall down there that folds up into the corner, and we can open the space up and include the cafe. So there's just so much to see. And I would say that, we can describe it all day long, but I would welcome anyone in the community to come down and visit and take a look around, because it's not just a real estate office, it's a community gathering place. And our agents are here to help you in the community, whatever you need. We're not always helping people buy and sell homes. We're informing them about where they live or introducing them to a new place or something like that. So that's who we want to be, and we're here for people. And, this building is a symbol of that.
Well, let me just, because, the way we're talking right now, it sounds like you're just handling like a residential buyer. But you do more than that. You also work with commercial, and you also work with high-end potential buyers as well. So it's not, so it shouldn't, the person that's just buying a $300,000 or $400,000 home shouldn't be intimidated by the Jack Conway company. You work with everyone, and it's interesting.
Yeah, I'll let I always feel, and my father always believed in this, we are a true generalist, and I mean that in the most positive way. Our company, we represent the buyers and sellers of the $300,000 or $400,000 houses, although I'm not sure if there's any of those out there anymore. All the way up to multi-million dollars. We have a partnership with leading real estate companies of the world, which is an organization that is made up of 575 the largest independently owned companies in the world, not just in the country, in the world. That provides not only our global presence so that we can assist people in moving in every parts of the globe, but also provides us a lot of resources. And one of those resources is a marketing program called Luxury Portfolio. And it's very exclusive. It's for any properties that are over $1 million. So anytime we are representing a buyer and seller in that range, and honestly, there's so many now because of the way the prices are going, they are handled in a certain marketing way through that program. And it's fabulous. We partner with the Wall Street Journal. There's a lot of specialized photography and marketing treatment for those. And yes, we also handle commercial. We have a great commercial department. We represent anywhere from leasing to purchasing to plots of land. It's something we've done for years. We have several people that not only that are in our commercial department, but also embedded in our residential offices that are commercial agents. In fact, Al and I are attending a Tri-Town Chamber event tomorrow to honor some people there that are doing some great work for commercial. So it's it's a full service company, and we've got some great people to represent the folks of Massachusetts and beyond, doing a lot more in Rhode Island and New Hampshire now too.
Well, that, and you talk about a full service, because the people have used that term for many years in the real estate industry, but when they say full service, they mean a full service. They have a broker on staff that will show you around. Your full service means you have a broker, you have a mortgage company, you have a title company, you have all of insurance, you have all of these needs right in one place, that someone, if they are, especially a first-time buyer, there's someone there that can walk them through that deal very easily with being all in one location.
Yeah, and they're all in one building now. That's important. But also, we have a vested interest. We have ownership in a few of these companies. And so leadership is focused on making sure that, service is the most important thing here. The agent can receive any client and help them in all of these areas, but they have to believe that the service is going to be great. It is. So Carol and I stand behind that. She mentioned Annie Bulman with Columbia Title. That's our escrow, closing service, closing attorney that we can offer. And, with the mortgage company and those three in particular, with the real estate, mortgage, and title working together, the client has a very little to worry about, and there's really nothing to worry about really. But the agent now has a full team behind them, team of people that they know, because we spend a lot of time together. So we're in this building together, but all of our events, all of our training, all of our networking opportunities as a company include all of these people. So we really get to know each other and make sure that the relationships are strong. So, real estate, at times, deals can go into areas that get difficult for people. But this team is strong enough and diverse enough that we can, really navigate choppy waters very easily together.
Al, with that being said, with all the new technology, does this mean that you can offer all of those services from any of your offices? Because with the new technology, they can deal with that person right in your office. They don't have to drive from there. Let's say they're in Rhode Island. They don't have to drive to Hanover to deal with that company. They can do it right over the phone or Zoom or whatever technology they want.
Yeah, we can. Absolutely. And during the pandemic, we had to. A lot more was done remotely and online. However, one of the things we pride ourselves in is being there, being connected, being in person. So all of our offices have a mortgage loan officer that is in that office. They manage a bunch of offices, but they're in there. In fact, I was in Mattapoisett, one of our top offices last week, and the mortgage loan officer in that office has her own office. She's there all the time. So, and Andy Bulman and his team will close anywhere in Eastern Mass or even Rhode Island now, as you mentioned, if someone needs that. So, yes, we can do virtual. We're all set up for that. It's tech savvy and it's all good, but one of the things we pride ourselves on as a company is being in person, being connected, being there for you, because we're in your community. We're not a company that's 3 states away that owns offices in Eastern Massachusetts. You're looking at the company right here. And when you come to Hanover and you walk up, you're going to see the company, and that's who we are. And all 26 offices have that same feel of being connected and having a responsible person on site for what people.
Right.
Absolutely.
And, like they say, and wait, folks, and there's more.
Yeah.
There is more.
So, Carol, tell us the even more exciting news about the Jack Conway and Company.
So timing being what it is, we made this decision, Mike and I, my husband and I first, talked about building the new building. I talked to Al and our senior teams, like, okay, we're going forward in this new building. This is what it's going to look like. So we jumped in the deep end. At the same time, there was something that Al and I had wanted to do for a long time, but we really didn't have quite the right opportunity for a number of reasons, was to bring a modern look into our company. And, it's something that had to be really carefully orchestrated, because my dad and the brand of Jack Conway has meaning to our realtors, our clients, our family, the members of our staff. So I said to Al, if we're going to do this headquarters, it's really important, if we're going to rebrand, we got to do it now. And so that way we had the time, we had the run rate, the lead time to be able to do a really impeccable job with a rebrand, because a rebrand is enormously detailed, especially with a company our size. And but we also wanted to make the right decisions. So we embarked upon an adventure. In addition to building the building, we reached out to an organization that was familiar to Al and me through our relationship with leading NYREJ, called 1000 Watt Consulting. They're a national consulting firm. They do a lot of refresh, rebrand work with real estate companies in particular. And they're really well known and well respected. And Al and I just love their work. We've seen companies that they've done great work with. So we have been working with them now for 18 months, and we jumped into this process. And what was really wonderful about it is, in order for them to help us with this refresh and this modern new look, there was a lot of interviews and conversations. And as Al said, storytelling. They talked to all of us. They talked to my family members. They talked to the senior members of our team. And then we provided them some names of managers and agents that were part of our companies that they could talk to them. Just to get a feel for the company, what's important, what are some of the things that, we want to remain committed to, and what are some of the things that we want to move forward with. So ultimately, what was created was this, what I feel is just a really clean, clear commitment to the today and the future, because, we're working on third gen now. And it was really important for us to make sure that this was a rebrand, a new brand identity that would last into the future, and also help us compete with some really large and successful companies. We have to be on our game at all times. And Al and I and the entire team, my family, and all the entire company feel that we offer something really special. But, one of the things that 1000 Watt said is, you want to have your outside reflect your inside. And so it was time. And so we put the team to work. What a great job our Conway Co.
Froze up.
We just embarked upon this project, and the ultimate,
we froze up in the middle. You and Al were frozen for, I don't remember where we're cut off.
Do you want me to just sort of jump in, or?
I heard everything you said. I don't know, Rick. It might have been on your end, because she didn't freeze for me. So.
Okay.
But you lost.
It could have been on my end.
Recording. Yeah. Do you know where you lost it? Where she stopped?
No, I'd have to go back and see what they were recording. But you know what? Why don't you where you were, like in the middle?
Yeah.
Because I can always
I would just go back to starting with our team and then explain what Common Creative is.
Yeah.
And then.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably where you are. Yeah.
So the rebrand process, creating a new brand identity, which I learned, was first learn about what's inside of us, right? And what we want to portray to the world. And then to reflect how the world sees us and how we want to see ourselves for the future. So we worked with 1000 Watt Consulting and our Conway Creative team, which is our marketing team. They're called Conway Creative. And we embarked upon this project that was huge, and it was really exciting. And for me, maybe not as much for the other parts of the team, sometimes a little emotional, because, I always felt like my dad was on my shoulder, and I wanted to make sure that we respected him and his legacy through the entire process. And the result, I think, is just fabulous. And I love it. It's clean. It's clear. People know what we do for a living. We leaned in very heavy with the red. It's a much brighter red than we had before. No one uses red, a real bright red, and we love it. My dad always believed that you need to be able to see the real estate sign. It's a big part of what we do, is a sign out in front of someone's home. We want someone to feel proud of our sign when it's in front of their home, that it's clean and modern and it reflects their home. And, also reflects who we are as a company, what we've learned from my father, what we've learned from each other, what we learn to going forward, our commitment to being innovative, to being full service, to being professional, to being fair. We have a true set of values. And I really think it's wrapped all up in this new brand. So, at this point in time, out of all 25 of our offices, there's only one that does not have the new sign out front. And we're still working with the Historical Commission on that tab. And then we have all new brochures that our marketing team has created to reflect the new brand. Our new headquarters has all the colors and the motifs and all the different fonts that are involved in it. And then we have a real nod to the past, because We've included the Conway country in our seal, and that's kind of fun for us to use. So that's been a really exciting process. And, social media has been such a great way for us to share this news. And we've gotten a lot of great feedback.
That's fantastic. It sounds like it's great. I haven't seen the new logo or the new colors.
I can't really see it here.
A
little bit. There it is.
A little bit. Bright red. Jack, it's very simple. Jack Conway. That's who we are.
Okay. I'll have to get a copy of that logo. So, Al, what do you have to add to that? Is there anything that you could add to that?
Well, yeah, I mean, just strategically, Carol said it, I think, best, and this is kind of our message, is that your outside has to reflect your inside. And as I said about our offices and our full service and our people, we're people here. And so Jack Conway was a man, and we have a heartbeat, and we're local, so people recognize that brand. But we want them to realize that that we have a heartbeat, and that we're we look good, but we're not so flashy and so artistically elegant and all this, that it's an untouchable thing. It's really attractive, but it represents the people and the heartbeat of what's here. So that's kind of and the color is a little different, but it hasn't changed much where it's red, right? So it's a little brighter red, and it's a little bit of a different shade, but it hasn't changed much. So that is a nod to the past. And as Carol said, the Conway country is staying. So, it's a recognizable brand that hopefully is seen as innovative, because that's what we're trying to project, innovative growth moving forward. It's not necessarily just the brand for now, it's the brand for the future too. For us, that's what we hoped to create, and that's what people are telling us they're seeing. So at least for the first 2 months, it's been a big hit.
And plus, the name itself, Jack Conway, is so recognizable. So, if you do even change up the colors a little, when you say the name, people are going to know. I know that real estate company, especially if you're from New England. So
that's good.
So is there anything else we want to throw on top of this? Is there more?
There is more. So
we can go on and on with this.
I started to get a little tired, Rick, and I'm moving up in years, and I love my job. I absolutely love it. I love our realtors. They're just the most wonderful people. We'd love to have you join us at our opening on May 24th and meet a lot of the members of our organization. They're just incredible people, and all the people that are involved in our ancillary services. Just, I could not be more fortunate to work with these people. But, as I look at transition, and, my dad and I did work through transition. It had its challenges. Transitioning to a next generation can be tricky. And I wanted to start the transition process early on for a number of reasons. I really believe that in order for my children to feel vested and have some ownership, and I mean ownership, like have some say and some pride in the company, I wanted them to have some opportunities if they were interested. Okay, so we are really fortunate because we do have a third generation lined up here. Al and I know a lot of companies that not only don't have third generations, but they don't have second generations. So a lot of times they will sell to a large, a national brand of some kind. And it's something that we are not interested in doing, again, because we feel that we're offering something special that really works and it's successful. So I'm very fortunate. We are very fortunate. 2 of my children are in sales, or our top salespeople. 2 of our top salespeople. Michael works out of South Boston. Corey Nagel works out of Situate. And so they're on the sales side, and again, highly successful. And then my daughter, Katie, is our CFO, just recently named CFO. She came out of the financial world, worked for Morgan Stanley in New York City for a number of years. And fortunately, she came our way. And then our 4th child, he's not number 4, he's number 3 in the lineup, Jack. he runs my husband's marinas with him because my husband is also in the marina business. So Jack is involved in our properties and oversees our marina business, and also started his own boat brokerage business. So all of these pieces just work together really well. And so I'm watching the kids grow. I'm really proud of what they've achieved. I love working with them. And as they get older, and their careers are developing, I wanted to make sure they knew that there's a future here for them. So that was one piece. And then the other piece is, we have 25 offices. We have all these ancillary services. Al and I work enormously well together. I'm so fortunate to work with Al. We started working together during some difficult times, and we accomplished so much. And, as the company continues to grow, Al and I both felt it was necessary that we redefine what our roles are to make sure that aren't redundancies, and that we're really hyper-focused and providing our skills where our skills should be. Al's extremely strong in both operations and sales. He has the respect of all of our managers and all of our team. And where my focus is oftentimes on growth, recruitment, acquisitions, and also overseeing our mortgage company, which is run by Kevin Richardson. He's the president of that. Our title relationship with Andy, our insurance relationship with Larry, and our other ancillary services. So we kind of divided and conquered. We redefined our roles. And so I spoke to Al about a year ago. We were on a flight out to Leading RV in Las Vegas. And I said, Al, it's time. I'd like you to step into the president role, and I will keep the CEO role and move over to chairman of the board. And I was thrilled that he accepted. I think that is a really enormously great step for our company. We're all very fortunate to work with him, and it frees me up to be able to continue working on the growth aspect of the company. So at that same time, I asked Katie if she would be willing to step into the CFO role. As a family business, so critical to have someone that you completely trust in that role, and that is very, very smart, and she is, and we work very well together. So she accepted that role. And in addition to that, I worked with actually our accountant as a consultant, Ken Kirkland from Sitch & Cooperman. He helped me sort of build out this whole process. And one of the things that we did is we created an advisory board where the members of each one of the children, all four of them, have a role on the advisory board. We meet 4 times a year. We've had one meeting already. It was fabulous. And it provides them an opportunity to give us feedback and information with the goal of growth and bettering our company from their own perspectives, because they all bring such great perspective and they care. So the advisory board is made up of Al as president, me as chairman of the board, Jay Chason is secretary. He's our corporate counsel. He's been with us for years. He's an amazing human being. And then all 4 of the kids. And the reason for that is to show continuity to our company. Being independent is really important to our agents and to, I think, our buyers and sellers too. If people don't see succession, they may think that it may not stay committed to independent, especially when there's so many independent companies being sold and franchising at this time. So we wanted to make sure that people knew there's a clear message, a clear vision for the future. We announced all this at the same time as the rebrand. And we opened up the new building this past Monday with the rebrand. And it's all just coming together so beautifully. And, we're really excited. We're excited about the future and what this will provide us.
That being said, I think that, you're on the right idea as far as, if it was a much larger corporation or an international corporation, they don't have what you just talked about. They don't have where everyone is on this advisory board. I mean, they have things that are similar, but they don't have that advisory board where they can see and have their own voice in a comfortable setting. It's not a corporate setting so much, but a comfortable setting to be able to talk freely about what they feel is going on and what might be a good idea to implement this, or to do this, or change that, or, so I like that. It's very interesting that you came up with that. And we have to give Al the credit for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can give Al the credit for that.
No. I think it was, all of this came on a flight to Vegas. At least part was shared with me with this, and we worked through it together to a degree. But Carol did have this plan, and she had been through it on the other side, being the second generation coming in. We learned a lot. She learned a lot, and I think she's, to this point, obviously it's fluid, managed this third generation coming in exquisitely. These folks, Jack doesn't, I don't work directly with Jack. He's now in the marina business and he's selling boats. He's doing awesome. He's a great guy. But if something ever happened and we needed Jack, I know he'd be there. But working with Katie and as a CFO, she's dynamite. I love it. And I love the fact that she is a family member, because, she's really, we've got the trust of it. The money is an important thing. But Corey and Michael are walking the walk for all of our agents. They are fabulous. They're great salespeople. They're great people. They're great in the community, and they just get it. And, Carol and Mike, I should say Mike too, did something right with these guys, because they're all just, really great ambassadors for our brand and for the business, but just really good people. And, one of the things I feel fortunate about working in a family business is that, we don't have a family that is, we have a family that we really like in this family business. And, sometimes I've seen this, because as Carol and I do travel around, a lot of the independent companies that we come in contact with are family independent real estate companies. It's kind of, I'd say most of them are, or at least that's how they started. And this dynamic is unique, very unique. The dynamic that we have at Jack Conway, where we have sort of camp tranquility.
For the most part.
Well, I'd say for the very most part. And of course, families have their family things that I'm not obviously involved too much in that, but the time we spend here at work together is always positive. It's always, what are we going to do to be better? It's always, let's look at this. Let's do that. I've tried this. Can we do that? And, I'm proud to be able to say that to them and to all of our agents and managers. Yeah, we can try, because you guys have ideas. Let's take them on and let's flesh them out.
I love the whole story of the Jack Conway and Company. I love the beginning to the end, and I like, well, not to the end. We're still going strong. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to having you on again for the next 10 years, or what we see for the future of Jack Conway. And maybe it'll be with your kids on there, Carol.
That's right. Well, it's funny, because our oldest grandchild is 13. Allie's 13 now, so she'll be 23 then. Who knows? 10 years from now, she might be involved. And we have 10 grandchildren, and it's exciting to think of that.
Oh, 10 grandchildren. You look like you're not even old enough to have teenagers.
You're very kind. It's amazing what you can do with Zoom. You can put all these things that make wrinkles go away.
It hasn't worked for me, so I want to thank you both. I love the story, and like I said, maybe we'll have you on again. We'll be able to talk about some of the things that happened from just this whole changing of the marketing scheme and the new office building and all of the new things that have come into Jack Conway and Company. So we look forward to that.
Hey, Rick, can I add one more thing? More thing? So again, in the spirit of Jack Conway, if we weren't asking, we wouldn't be doing our jobs. Just to remind everyone that's listening that, of course, we help people buy and sell homes. But if anyone's interested in a Conway career or a real estate career, we have a wonderful license school. for folks who are looking to get licensed and get into the business. And we have career counselors and people that can walk them through any of the questions before they even get involved. We have a great school. It's been #1 in banker and tradesman for like 12 years in a row. So, and then we're hiring. We're always hiring. We always can use more people in the community to help others. That's really what we're focused on, helping others realize their real estate dreams.
You know, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because I did want to bring that up, the school, because that's important for people to know. And so many people I would think would want to get into the industry right now.
Yeah. And in this great new building, so
right.
Absolutely. They can call any one of us. They can go on our website. It's really easy to do that. But we'd love to talk to people who are interested in becoming real estate agents.
Great point. Thanks for bringing that up, Al. We licensed over 200 people last year during COVID, moved the entire school remotely almost immediately. And it was just an incredible thing. And the other thing is we're local. So, when people want to buy local and support local, I mean, when you utilize a Conway realtor, you're getting great service and great support, but you're also supporting a local business. And we appreciate that very much.
Well, like I said, we could probably talk for another hour. It's very interesting what you guys have done, and the whole company, where it's at to this point from where it began. And, I just love the story. We've been talking for about an hour, so, we have to run, but I want to thank you again. We're talking with Carol Bulman of, am I saying your last name right? Bulman?
Bulman, yes, that's correct.
Okay, Carol Bulman. She is the CEO and Chairman for the Jack Conway and Company, and Al Becker, who is the COO and now president of the Jack Conway Company. I want to thank you all. Thank you all for listening.